everybody. Today I am going to come to you live before I start the fast forwarded process part of the video. And the reason I'm doing that is that I have something a little bit different today. I'm going to do a 2-page layout, and I have a lot of photos here, as you can see. As a matter of fact, it is 16, 17 photos plus a map of where we were. My mom, my sister, and I, which is what this picture is about, had a day out together, and one of the places we went was these gardens called the Rotary Gardens in my home state. They're in Janesville, Wisconsin, just in case anybody wants to know about it. They're very cool. And we were there in July, the end of July. So the perennials were gorgeously in bloom, and most of the perennials are at the very beginning. So I took lots of those photos and then a few other photos throughout the gardens. Anyway, so I have 17 photos and a map that I need to get on a layout. So what I did is I printed them small, the photos small. The biggest ones are the one of my mom, my sister, and I, and that one is about a 4x4. This one right here is a 3x4, so 4x4, 3x4. These little squares are 2x2s, and then these rectangles are about 1 3/4 by 2.5. Just so you kind of know what I was looking at, and that's these two, 1 3/4 by 2.5. I had a lot of things I wanted to get on. I suppose I could have done a pocket page. I didn't think about that, but I don't really have a lot of options in pocket pages. And what I did is I just took these photos and I used Photoshop. So I just put all the photos in Photoshop, and then except for these two photos. So all the photos of the flowers and scenery, except for these two photos, I put in Photoshop, and then it just collaged them for me. And it came out with the 2x2 squares and the 1 3/4 by 2.25, 2.5, whatever I said it was. So that's how I got all the photos done, and I had no idea what I was going to do. So I played around a little bit before I started this, and then this sat on my desk in this configuration on the white cardstock for about 2 weeks. It was like impeding my process because I really didn't know what to, didn't know how I was going to do this, because you guys know, if you've watched my videos, I like to use a lot of layering pieces and those kinds of things, and I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to layer paper if I did this layout. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. So today I decided today is a day, and I started exploring some of my options for color. And I'm not going to take these all off, but just so you can see it, this is the Pink Paisley Fancy Free paper pack that I'm working with here. The first one I thought about was this beautiful yellow, and it looks nice with the photographs, but it's not great. And then the next paper I went to was this one, which is the, again, from the Pink Paisley Fancy Free paper pack. Everything will be. And I really like this. This is the paper I'm going to use as the background on both sheets. And the reason I decided to do that is it calms down the busyness of all the photos, because the greens all sort of blend into the background. Now, that might not be something you want to do every time, but in this particular case, that is what I'm going to do. It also does a really nice job setting this map off. I'm going to have to trim this map a little bit yet, I think. But anyway, so that's kind of where my head was at when I chose the colors. So that's the background sheet. Now, the next thing I wanted to do is I do want to get some paper layering in here. I'm going to be careful how I set that down. And I was thinking about this flowers sheet because, it's photos of flowers and all of that. So I could do that and, just do this little bit, like leave a little reveal, because I'm going to probably do this layering, paper layering with this map, and then again with this photograph here for sure. So that looks good on that. And then maybe, depending, I might do it with this one as well. I think it might get a little bit busy though, and I want this to be a highlight because it's a photo of the three of us, and I want this to be a highlight because it tells like where we were, because the only title I might use might be what's on here, just because I think too much embellishing here is going to get really, really busy very fast. So I thought about this paper. I'm not sure that's right though, because it's a lot of little papers, and I think it might be too much, although, you know, that's okay. And I don't particularly love how the white stands off on this white as well. That's the other thing that I thought about. So the other thing I looked at is this one. And this is also from the Fancy Free Paper Pad. That does a really nice job, if you can see it there. Now, not as good here with the standing off, but I could ink these edges as well. And I think this is the paper I'm going to use. Now, I love this paper. The other thing is, if you look at this, I think this is my last sheet of this left, but now I don't have enough room here. So I think what I'll probably do is do the frame here, gut it, and then use that for that. That's kind of what I'm thinking, kind of where my head is right now. We'll see what happens as I go along, because you never know, you know, that might change. I also pulled some other things out just so you can see supplies that I'm thinking about using here. I have these circles that, you know, I could maybe use behind things. They're pretty big though, so that might not work. If I had the 6x6 pad, that would probably work better. I have the journaling cards. And then I have, oh, let's see, I have, or cut apart cards. I have the journaling cards and tags from the set here, more tags. I have the puffy stickers, and then I just grabbed other things from my stash. I have these bows, and frankly, I think I really, really need to use these because these colors work great. These three bows, which are, you know, some bows that are harder for me to use, especially this one, would look great on this this layout. So I think I want to use that. I grabbed some wood words. I grabbed the Oh Happy Life by Amy Tangerine here. I grabbed these decorative pins there just because some of the colors are the same. I grabbed the this is a Dear Lizzie epoxy sticker sheet, and this is old. I don't even remember what the polka dot party this is from, but there's a 3 here in this side of orangey color, so there were 3 of us. I thought that might work well. I did grab these cork bows, but I think I'm not going to use them because they're kind of big, and I like these other bows better. Then I grabbed these little butterflies that are in the pinks and the kind of greens from Chickanity Crafts from Yippee. And then I grabbed these things from Elle's Studio. Hopefully you're seeing these and you're not getting too bad of a reflection, but different puffy stickers, so that those I could use. And then last but not least, I grabbed a couple of other things. I grabbed this chipboard here because I liked the number here. This arrow, I could use 2, again, the 3 in the number. So I could repeat a couple of 3s on here. And then I found this this border strip from Crepe Paper. I think this is Paper Heart. This goldy yellow border might be kind of nice. And then I saw this butterfly. I think this is the last sticker. If I use this, I'm going to throw that away because it's a remnant here. But if I could find a way to use this on here, that would be fantastic. And it's kind of watercolory like this is. This is from Maggie Holmes. I also have this sticker sheet from Dear Lizzie because I saw this, and that might work as well. But I really, if I could get this butterfly on here and those bows, the bows here, I would consider this a success. Plus, I don't really need a lot of things on here because it's going to be very busy with all of the photographs already. So I think I'm ready to go. As I scrap this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the arrangement here on the white sheet, because that way, as I start laying things out, I can just pick the photographs up that way. And by the way, the photographs, except for this one and this one, are printed on HP matte photo paper. just because that's what I have in my 8.5 by 11. And then this is printed on like a soft gloss because I can't find matte in the 4x6s, at least without ordering it online. And I just get too lazy to do that. So anyway, I think that's it to start. A lot of stuff going on with this. And I guess I will be back in just a little bit and fast forward, and we'll see what happens with my process. All right, so I'm back with you on fast forward now, and I have cut the mats for the picture and for the map. The green background paper there, just so you know, is Pink Paisley Fancy Free. It's paper number 7, so number 7, because they don't actually have names, they have numbers. I'm going to ink the edges of the mat for the photo. That multicolored paper there is also Pink Paisley Fancy Free, and it's paper number 10, so number 10 is that one as well. So I'm inking the edges just to help these stand out just a little bit more off the background. The green is a pretty dark color there, and I just want to make sure that these pop off like they should. Not such a big thing with the map because it's such a big piece of paper and it's very white, but the photograph was taken fairly far away and it's pretty dark, so the inking is going to help quite a bit. Now what I'm doing here is I have my centering ruler, and I'm going to make sure that the photo is centered on the layout. If you don't have one of those, they are a great help for getting things centered. I'm not so crazy about that all the time that I have to have things centered, but on a layout like this, where that's the focal point of everything, I think it is important. And you'll see me bring that out from time to time. It's kind of nice. And I was having problems with this because, you know, I don't know. I don't think I didn't do it right the first time. So now I am putting my photos on, and I found the photo. There was one photo, and I don't remember now which one because I did this layout 2 days ago, but I was missing a photo. I think it was in the bottom on this left-hand page, and I actually found it on the floor after I did the live conversation with you about what I was planning here. So I thought I had one, and then I thought, oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just imagining it. So I wasn't imagining it. I really did have one. So I'm just kind of playing around with these, trying to decide how I want them to go. And as you can see, I'm not really measuring these. I'm just going to kind of make sure I have some equal spacing between them and that it looks good to my eye. Because now I have at least I have that photo in the middle centered, so I know that that's going to work okay. And everything on this page is a vertical orientation photo except for those two at the top. Well, and the middle one is kind of I guess it is a little bit of a rectangle too, but of the small photos, everything is a vertical orientation except for the benches, the two photos, the one of the bench and the other one of the perennial garden are horizontal orientation. So it changes this up a little bit, which actually I kind of like because that's a little bit unexpected. You know, you would expect to just see two more vertical photos. The other opportunity that this is going to afford me is I now have a space, or I was going to have a space either above the photos or above the one middle photo. And in this particular case, I decided to do it the space with the middle photo there. And I'm going to use that for my title. Now, as I'm looking at this page, as I'm just putting down some of my main elements, I'm really scooting that map, bordered map, up towards the top there. And as I'm doing that, that other photo is really, really close to it, the photo with the sign from the garden. So I'm just kind of looking at that and being aware of that, how close that is. On this page, all of the photos here are the squares. So those are going to be easy to put down if I just kind of make sure they're in the middle. And again, I'm not going to measure any of this. I'm going to eyeball it. Now, some people might want to actually measure that, but I often do things without that. I don't think anybody's going to come in and look at it, and it doesn't look like it's really crooked or anything like that, and that's the thing that I would most be worried about. Now I am so excited because I used up this sticker. I used this sticker, the butterfly sticker, and the reason I'm putting on this on the layout now before I've embellished anything else is it is going to take up some visual space in this column, and I kind of want to know how much of that, and so I'm putting that on to make sure that I like the placement of the sticker before I actually stick the photos down, so that I can get the whole picture there. And now I'm going to stick that down. That sticker is from the Crate Paper Maggie Holmes, her very, very first collection, which was self-titled and called Maggie Holmes. Now I found, as I was looking through some sheets of stickers, I found this border sticker from Crate Paper Paper Heart from the border sticker sheet, and I'm going to use that just to anchor my title. So I wanted to do something so that the title laid on something, so it wasn't just floating in the middle of that space there. And I just cut it off so that it was circular on both sides. And I looked at using this little bit of leftover on the bottom there, somewhere else on the layout, or another piece right below the first piece, but that just wasn't going to work very well. So now I'm looking at stickers for my title, and I'm thinking about this pink, but I'm not loving the pink. It's a little bright for what's going on in the rest of the layout. Even though there are some awfully bright pinks on here, it's just a little bit too bright. So I decided, well, let's just go with black then. That'll be easy. Green would have blended in, and I knew there was no other color that I really wanted to highlight on this page. So I'm taking my wax paper there, and I'm just going to put down the word gardens. That alphabet there is from American Crafts. It's the Thicker's Delight in black. So Delight is the name of the font. And I like it because it's really small. I tend to use this actually more for subtitles, or like when I'm doing two different fonts in a layout or on a layout. But in this particular case, I had a smaller space, and the word gardens wouldn't have fit on there with most thickers, but they do fit really, really well with these smaller Delight thickers here. All right, so that's down. And now I have taken these Maggie Holmes bows, and I am so excited about this because I've had this pack for a while. This is also from her original collection, but I did not buy these originally. I found these on closeout somewhere. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking the bows and I'm distributing them across the page. I have 4 of them, which is a little bit harder because it's an uneven number, but I want to use them all. The colors will work great with this layout. They appear in places on the layout, so I want to use them up. They've been hanging in my stash long enough. And what I decide to do is I decide, instead of putting them in 4 different places, which I think would have thrown the balance off a little bit, I put 2 of them on that center photo of my sister, my mom, and I, because that way I think it just emphasizes that photo a little bit more too, which is a good thing. Now I have the puffy heart stickers from the Pink Paisley Fancy Free collection, and they're just called stickers. So that's where the Wonderful Day sticker comes from. And now I'm going to play around with the hearts. I have 2 of them. I have a blue one and I have a pink one, and I'm going to play around with them quite a bit, trying to decide where they go. And the pink one starts out there. It doesn't end up there, but it does end up on that photo. The blue one, I'm playing around with too. I don't know why I did. I mean, it was kind of silly. And then I found this epoxy 3. I think I talked about in a Dear Lizzie pack of epoxy stickers. That came from Polka Dot Party, which is an old collection. So that's nice to have that used on a page. And I toy with, well, maybe I'll put the blue heart down here, and then I decide, no, I want the pink one up there to balance out the pink in lots of other parts of the layout, and that's where it's going to end up staying. And I'm using my Cutter Bee tweezers there to help get things down. And then it's just really a matter of getting the glue dots or the bows down, so I just grabbed a couple of glue dots. I think those are the medium glue dots, and I'm going to use those to get the bows down. The bows did come with some adhesive on them, but they're old enough that I don't really trust it, so I'm just going to use it that way. And then there's very little journaling on this layout, but I just mentioned who we were, where we were, and what the date was for our little outing. All right, here's the still shot and a couple of detail shots. Hope you are all well, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye!